Good morning, class. Today we'll be going through chapter 3.3, estimation. Let's do a very quick recap. Now, in the previous section, we covered on approximation, where it's not, when you're using the approximation sign, it is not important to specify the degree of accuracy. Okay? But when you write in the equal sign, you need to specify the degree of accuracy. Okay, but in between the steps, the working steps, you must have at least 5 SF. And remember, if your answer is non-exact, it should be 3 SF. Now, this doesn't apply to exact answers because unless, the question requires you to round off. Okay, let's move on. So what is estimation? And when is estimation useful? What happens here is that estimation is useful when you're checking for reasonableness of an answer, an approximation, like your mathematical calculations. Okay, you approximate certain numbers that are not whole numbers, but using your mental calculation to get a fast answer that's as close as possible. Now, it can be an overestimate or an underestimate, but it gives you a reasonableness of an answer. Okay, but it's not accurate. Okay, now you can also do this. It's more useful when you're talking about currency exchange, especially when you go for travel, overseas traveling. When you're buying things and you want to calculate how much does it cost, in Singapore, compared to overseas. So is it cheaper? Should I buy it? So that brings us to the next point, which is also something to check whether it's worth buying a product. Okay, so value for money. So when you go to supermarket or NTUC or Sheng Siong, they might have some offers, and you need to check whether if these offers are always is it value for money. Okay, and of course it comes in different packaging because end of the day, we have different consumers and their needs are very varied, and some people want smaller quantities, some people want larger quantities, and so on. So we need to check whether if it's something that is worth buying, okay, for the consumer. So you can have different packaging, like maybe 500 gram of Milo, and then we have another package of 900 gram of Milo, and the price, there's a price difference, but you need to check whether if it's a value for money. And you can't just punch into calculator, right? If you want to do some mental sums, then you need to estimate. Okay, now estimating a larger quantity with a smaller quantity. So for example, if you have a picture and you have like many people in a picture, and you want to find out an estimation of how many people are there in this picture, so you can subdivide the pictures into many sections. So for example, you have a picture like this, and you can just subdivide this. Okay, so whatever numbers that you get here, the number of people, you can just multiply with probably over here you have 9 squares, so it's about whatever you have times 9. That will give you an estimate of the quantity. So that's what we are looking at. Or for example, if you have some diagram and a part of it is shaded, okay, and you want to know what is the entire area with respect to the shaded area, so you can take this and you can approximate this to be of this nature. Okay, so it's like 1 2 3 4. Of course, you notice that this is not so accurate, so it should be somewhere around here and here. So you have 1 2 3 4 and 5 portions based on whatever you have here. Okay, so this is like 1/5 of the entire figure. Okay, so that's an approximation. Now let's move on. We'll be doing this practice question here. Now if you notice, we are looking at practice question now, 5. Ali used a calculator to evaluate 798 times 195 and obtain an answer of 15,561. Without doing any actual calculation, use estimation to determine whether Ali's answer is reasonable. Okay, so and after they ask you to use the calculator to check whether it's close to the actual value or not. So for question number 1, you have 798 times 195. Okay, so this is a rough estimation. So what is 798 close to? An estimation of this will be 800, as close as possible. An estimation of 195, a closest number that you can get to round off is 200. So end of the day, the answer should be around 160,000. Sorry. Okay, 160,000. So what value did he get? If you notice, what he get was 15,000 only, but what you have here is 160,000. Of course, if you use your calculator, okay, if you use your calculator, 798 times 195, your calculator value should give you 155,610. This is using your calculator value. Okay, so based on this, you know that Ali's answer is not reasonable. So is not reasonable. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Now let's look at question number 2. This is to do with computation as well. So you are given this value 5712 divided by 297, your A. So how do I approximate this? Now 5,712 can be rounded up to 5,700, and 297 you can round off to 300, and that should give you 19. Okay, now let's look at another one. This is important because most of the exam questions do center around this. So square root 63 times cube root 129. Now for this, you need to have a good understanding of what is a perfect square and a perfect cube. So as close as possible, 64 would be the closest to 63, because you can square root 64, right? And that will give you a nice number, which is 8. Okay, how about cube root? Cube root starts with 1, 8, 27. That's like 1 cube, 2 cube, 3 cube, 4 cube is 64, and the 5th cube is 125, and the next one is 6 cube is 216. So you can't choose 216, so you need to choose 125. So cube root of 125, that's the closest you can get, approximate that, and you get 5, and the final answer is 40. Okay, very similar questions will appear in your workbook, so please take this as an example, okay, and you can refer and you should be able to do your workbook examples, right? Okay, so let me go on to question number 3. Now, question number 3, the driving distance between Singapore to Malacca is 250 kilometer. Your father drives at an average speed of 80 kilometer per hour. Ask you how long it will take to drive from Singapore to Malacca. Write down an expression that you mentally estimate the duration in hours. Of course, 250, the closest you can get. Over 80. So the closest you can get for 250 is actually 240, because it's an easy number to divide with. You don't want to overestimate or underestimate, so as close as possible. Okay, so 240 over 80, that should give you 3 hours. Okay, let's move on. Practice now 6. Okay, this is to do with the currency exchange. So this is rupiah here. So the conversion of rupiah to Sing dollars is given as every 1,000. Just give me a minute. Every 1,000 rupiah is actually 9 cents, about 9 cents. Okay, yeah. So how do we work out this? Without using calculator, you are supposed to figure out what would be the closest you can get. Okay, so let's check. So the closest that you can get for rupiah is, for Rp 1,000 rupiah, 1,000 rupees is about equal to Sing dollars, which is about 0.1. Okay, why do I choose this? Okay, you know in a while, because if I were to times 1,000 or even 10,000, then this becomes a nice number of $1. Okay, now if 10,000 is equivalent to $1, what is 25,000? Wait, 25,000 rupiah. Okay, so that would be $2. Okay, you can break it up. Okay, and for that means, let me just do an intermediate step. So for 20,000 rupiah, you get Sing dollars of $2, correct? Okay, and we still have a balance of 5,000 rupiah. So what is 5,000 rupiah? Take reference from here. So it's half of 10,000 rupiah, which means it is half of $1 is 50 cents. Now together they will form rupiah 25,000 is actually equal to about $250. $2.50. Okay, let's move on. This is for the part on value for money, right? So you have option A and option B, olive oil. So you're given different quantities. Okay, so the primary objective here is for you to compare, but you can only compare when the quantities are the same. So what you can do is you take reference from option A. Using option A, you try to figure out if the quantity for option B, would it give you a better value for money or not? Okay, so let's do this. Um, so you have 300 ml. That will give me $8.80. Okay. Now, how much would, because here we have an extra 50 ml, right? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll try to bring it down. So assuming this is about $9, so I can approximate this because I'm using mental calculation, right? So change this to $9 because that's the closest to $8.80. So how much does 100 ml gives you? You divide by 3 and you divide by 3 on both sides, you get this. And for 50 ml, how much do you get? You divide by another 2. So you get $1.50. Now, combine these two together. Now, that will give me 350 ml should give me $10.50. Okay, according to option A. Now that you have in similar quantity, both option A and option B have 350 ml, now you can compare the price. So which one is cheaper here? Option sorry, it's my mistake. I shouldn't use this. Sorry, maybe it's a good learning point as well. I should not use the $9 here. Why? Okay, because that will be an overestimate, correct or not? The actual value of option A is for 300 is, the actual value is $8.80. So take that, add with the estimation amount of 50 ml, that will give me $1.50. So end of the day, it should give me $10.30. Now, what this suggests is that option A is cheaper. Okay, so it's a good learning point. So do not take these values. Do not take this value. Why? Because this will mean it's a over estimation. You want to be as close as possible, so you still need to take what you are given here, the $8.80. Of course, in order to find the 50 ml, I use the estimation. Okay, so this is a very good learning point. Okay, and you have a similar thing coming out in your worksheet too, so please look through that too. Last one. Now, if you notice, this is a shaded region. Okay, they want you to estimate the percentage of the shaded region. Okay, so if this is the smaller area, right? So let's take this as a smaller area. Okay, the one in red. Now we need to approximate this size over here. So that will be roughly the same as this area will be about here. And then this one will be about here. So you got how many sections do you have here? So you have 1, 2, and 3. So the shaded region is 2 out of 3 times your 100%. That should give you 66 over 66 whole and 2/3%. Okay. Well, that marks the end of this subtopic on estimation. Please look through the video again and then complete your workbook exercise worksheet 3C. Thank you.